Good morning, traders. I'm Emily Vani, the CEO of the Investment Banking Institute and your host here at NewsWare's Trade Talk. Joining me is trading anchor Bill Olson, who brings more than 30 years of institutional trading experience to our program. At Trade Talk, we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Today is Thursday, May 23rd. The weight of the stock market seems to rest on NVIDIA's shoulders in after-hours trading. Futures popped on positive results from NVIDIA following a down day on Wall Street. During regular trading yesterday, the Dow gave up 201 points, or more than 0.5%. The Nasdaq lost 31 points, or 0.18%, and the S&P 500 shed 14 points, or just more than 0.25%. Bill, let's get into today's action with what is happening in the markets this morning.
Hi, yes, good morning, Emily. Hey, I'm watching the S&Ps. We're up 0.72, more than 0.7%. I mean, that's a positive opening, indication of a good opening, good strong opening today. You know, it's really the tech stocks. Tech stocks are moving higher, which is causing the S&Ps to show some strong gains, and it's being led by last night's earnings report from NVIDIA, which is really the key for today's early morning action. I mean, listen, we're going to be we got a number of economic reports coming out today that the market will be paying attention to, but only one Fed speaker. So, we're kind of lower on that, considering we've been having multiple, like 4 or 5 each day, for the last few days. On other news, I mean, I see that the Justice Department is getting ready to file a suit against Live Nation. Listen, they have a ticket monopoly. We know that, and they're using their monopoly to make sure that the other ticket agencies don't get into the business. Well, the Justice Department is going to clamp down on them, it looks like today. DuPont, they're looking to split themselves into 3 publicly traded companies. It's big news for them. Keeping an eye on, the geopolitical tensions going on. Ukraine may get approval to use U.S. weapons inside of Russia. They may, allow NATO and U.S. Personnel to train Ukrainian soldiers in Ukraine. That's kind of a big move. That's it's not really being well publicized, but we got to keep an eye on that. But let's take a look at what's going on in the global markets. I mean, we got the DAX. The DAX is up 51 points, or 0.28%. The German manufacturing PMI, it improved. I mean, it came in at 45.4. April was 42.5, and the services PMI rose to 53.2 from 53.9. So. That's not bad. We're seeing some positive action in Germany, and you're seeing the markets react to it. FTSE, on the other hand, the FTSE's down. It's not down much. It's down 0.07%. I mean, their UK manufacturing PMI did increase 51.3 in May compared to 49.1 in April, and a beat forecast of the 49.5. But you got the Prime Minister calling for UK elections, which is kind of weighing on stocks a little bit. And then you got the CAC index. The CAC is up 26 points, or 0.33%. Their PMI increased to 46.7 in May from 45.3 the previous month. And that was above expectations of 45.8. Then we're looking over at Asia last night in Hong Kong. In Japan, we saw nice gains. Japan was up 1.26%, or 486 points. The big news story here is that the PMI showed faster growth in last month than compared to the last 9 months. But tonight we get the CPI coming out from Japan. We got to keep an eye on that. Hong Kong fell. Hong Kong fell 1.7%. China fell 1.33%. Couple issues, here. There is real questions about the Chinese property stimulus plan. The feeling is that it may not be sufficient. They may need to do more. And then you got China doing military drills off the coast of Taiwan. That's not helping the political tensions at all. So, that's what I see happening in the global markets. And we're talking oil. Oil's had for the last 3 days, oil's been selling off. Well, today it's rebounded. It's up 0.7%. You got WTI at $78.12 a barrel. You got Brent at $82.47 a barrel. I think that positive PMI data out of Europe is helping, and the elevated tensions out of Ukraine and China is also helping, to kind of stem the tide of 3 days of losses. And I think that's why we're seeing some nice gains in oil this morning, up about 0.7%. But that's what I have for you in terms of a morning market updates report, Emily.
Bill, what I always find, interesting about your morning updates is that when, everybody else seems to be focused on one or two main catalysts, you're really giving us the, broad look at everything we should be watching in the markets. Of course, you did mention earnings action, which we're going to get to, economic events, a number of important reports to keep an eye on, and then you still have other market moving headlines you're keeping track of. Of course, you're doing this using your NewsWare and looking at your alerts. We're going to turn first to earnings action. Of course, NVDA, the big headline here. A couple of other interesting ones and still some big names to look ahead to. So, Bill, give us a rundown of everything we should be watching when it comes to earnings.
Yeah, we got to start off with NVIDIA, ticker NVDA, Nancy Victor, David Apple. They beat by 53 cents and they did it on higher revenue. That stock is up 6.69%. It was a good report. No question about it. There were some concerns about it going into it. But they did the beat and they announced a 10-for-1 stock split. Hey, that's just positive news for the semiconductor firm. Then you got Snowflake, ticker SNOW, Sam, Nancy, Oscar, William. They missed by 4 cents, but it was done on higher revenue. That stock's up 4.54% this morning. Synopsy, ticker SNPS, Sam, Nancy, Paul, Sam. They missed by 3 cents on lower revenue. That stock's down about 0.5% this morning. It's kind of benefiting from the NVIDIA earnings, but I still think that has some downward movement to go. Then you got ticker ELF, Elf Beauty. They beat by 21 cents on higher revenue. You look at that stock's moving higher. Then you got Live Ramp, ticker RAMP, Richard Apple, Michael Paul. They beat by 6 cents on higher revenue. That stock's up 15.62% this morning. I mean, that was a big winner. Then upcoming we got Deckers Outdoor after the close. Ticker DECK. David Edward Charlie Kilo. EPS is $2.68. Expected move is 10.81%. We got Ross Stores. Ticker ROST. Richard Oscar Sam Tom. Their EPS is $1.34. Expected move is 5.70%. We got Workday. Ticker WDAY. William David Apple Yellow. Their EPS is $1.57. Expected move is 7.13%. And Intuit, ticker INTU, India, Nancy, Tom, Uncle. Their EPS is $9.34, and the expected move is 5.25% when they release after the close, Emily.
Bill, I have to pause here to mention that Live Ramp was your pick of the day yesterday, up big after earnings. We're going to check in on show. Now we're going to get to economic events, a number of economic reports. So, Bill, what should we be watching when it comes to the day's economic events?
At 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, we're going to get the jobless claims reports. That's going to be a key one. But at 9:45, you get the PMI composite flash. A lot of PMI data coming out today, so this one will be watched closely. Then at 10 a.m., we get new home sales, and I see that 3:30 p.m. Eastern time, we're going to be hearing from Atlanta Fed Bank President Raphael Bostic. On another note, yesterday we had the release of the Fed meeting minutes. I mentioned I expected them to be hawkish, because they were done before the CPI report came out, and sure enough, they were hawkish, and that's why the market fell apart yesterday after that report came out. I mean, we were down 300 points on the Dow. Most of that was due to because of that hawkish nature of the Fed meeting minutes, where they actually were talking about raising rates. Well, that narrative is over with. It's done. I mean, we had lower inflation coming in from the last report, so it's really switched the dial for these Fed speakers. And you see that they're continuing to say that they're waiting on the data. In their recent speeches, rates higher for longer in their recent speeches as well. But at least they're not talking about rate hikes anymore. So that is positive news for the market. So yesterday's Fed minutes really did cause volatility in the markets yesterday, Emily.
And we're keeping track of all of that. As I mentioned, you're using your NewsWare to follow those economic events, Fed speak, of course, that earnings action, but you're also following other types of news. You're looking at news, shareholders meetings, buyback news, other catalysts. You can take a look at stocks grouped together like your FANG stock. 30 stocks to really get a feel for any trends on the day. So, Bill, what else do you see is possibly moving the markets today?
I'm just doing a quick data check. I'm looking at my Dow stocks. I'm showing 18 higher, 9 lower, the rest unchanged. I'm looking at my FANG stocks. Apple higher, Amazon higher. That size. Google's higher, Meta's higher, Netflix is higher. I mean, it looks like a nice morning. I gotta tell you, it looks like a good morning coming up. Tesla's even higher. So yeah, well, the FANG stocks are all higher. So S&P should deliver on these good gains this morning. We're talking some of the news behind the tape, like Apple iPhone shipments to Europe are seen as falling until that new iPhone 16 is released. That's not unexpected. I would agree with that. Amazon, what I find interesting is Amazon came out with a statement this morning after the NVIDIA release, of course, that said that they have not halted any NVIDIA Grace Hopper chip orders. Well, with all the attention on NVIDIA, Amazon has to play into that. They are making some changes in their data center, but any orders they have for that Grace Hopper chip, they expect to be fulfilled. Tesla, I see Tesla's asking suppliers to make parts outside of China. I don't think that's good news for them because that could hurt their ability to sell cars in China because the Chinese government could issue some tariffs on foreign-made vehicles. So you got to be careful on that. We're talking Dow Jones 30 stocks. We're talking Disney, ticker DIS, David India Sam. TNT strikes a deal with ESPN to share rights for the college football playoffs. That's good. Microsoft, ticker MSFT. A lot of stories out here today. I mean, there's one that says, Microsoft's UAE deal could transfer key U.S. chips and AI technology abroad. Asia and European countries are seeing an outage on Bing and Copilot this morning, I see. And News Corp and OpenAI. Remember, Microsoft's a big investor in OpenAI. They signed a multi-year global partnership pact that's going to allow OpenAI access to stories found on News Corp. So that's a positive story. Boeing, ticker BA. Chinese regulators are said to be the cause of plane deliveries being delayed into China. It could be a result of the recent escalation trade tensions. Is kind of what I'm reading. We're talking guidance news. NVIDIA, ticker NVDA, sees Q2 revenue coming in at 28 billion. That's plus or minus 2%. Street estimates 26.66 billion. Live ramp, ticker RAMP. Richard Apple, Michael Paul, ACQ1 revenue coming in 172 million versus street estimates of 166.23 million. That's an uptick. We're talking ticker S&amp, Sam, Nancy, Paul, Sam. A synopsis, they see Q3 adjusted EPS coming in $3.25 to $3.30. Street estimate is $3.22. So, yeah, okay, that's not bad. Shareholders meetings, Archer Daniels Midland, ticker ADM. They're supposedly having a shareholders meeting today at 9 a.m. That's kind of positive. Let's see if I see any other shareholders meetings going on today. Kenvue's having a shareholders meeting at 9 a.m. Morgan Stanley's having a shareholders meeting at 9 a.m. Mohawk Industries, MWK, they're having a shareholders meeting, starts at 10 a.m. Charles Schwab having a shareholders meeting at noon. ServiceNow, ticker NOW, looks to be having a shareholders meeting at 3. Yeah, we got a lot of shareholders meetings going on today. In terms of buyback news, let's talk about ticker COR. Charlie Oscar Richard set a course repurchasing $400 million worth of shares from Walgreens Boots Alliance, WBA. Ticker PGNY, Paul Grace, Nancy Yellow. Their board approved another $100 million in share buybacks. Catalyst calls. Let's talk Unilever, ticker UL. Uncle Larry, JP Morgan places Unilever on a positive Catalyst watch list. Now, they upgraded the stock this morning from overweight, and it was underweight. That's like a double upgrade. So Unilever, it is posed for a nice move today. You look at the stock this morning, and it's already up 1.51%, and there's probably greater gains to come there in Unilever. But that's what I have for you about news hitting the tape in the pre-market, Emily.
This is the type of data that NewsWare delivers daily. It's factual, it's market moving, and our alerting functions bring it to your attention as it happens. Go to www.newsware.com now and sign up for the trial and see for yourself the benefits that professional Newswire delivers. It is now that time of the show for the Trade Talk pick of the day. Bill, what is your pick of the day today?
Going with Booz Allen, ticker BAH, Boy Apple Henry. Earnings are out tomorrow morning. EPS is $1.22. Expected move is 6.39%. Call volume yesterday, 204 calls versus 110 puts. That's not bad. Not heavy, but it's not bad. Then you got the open interest, 2,149 calls versus 939 puts. That's 2-to-1. That's nice. Major brokers have been raising price targets. We do like to see that. Last quarter, they did a beat and raise. Nice to see. Price target. Hard to give you a price target this morning. Bid offer 155 to 159.77. Earlier this morning I was like, 153.75. I think I got to raise that to 154.25. On the way it's been trading, even that might be too high. But Booz Allen, we got to keep an eye on this one. I'm looking for a good opportunity this morning, and I think that Booz Allen will deliver positive earnings, and we're going to see an increase in that. Tomorrow morning, and maybe later today when they report earnings, Emily.
We will follow Booz Allen along with you today, running into earnings. As we pointed out earlier in the show, yesterday's pick of the day was running into earnings as well. And coming up, we're going to do a recap on that, so don't go anywhere. But first, let's take a look at the current breaking headlines that have hit the tape in our Hot Off the Press segment. Bill, take it away.
Okay, what do we see here? Ralph Lauren appoints a new CFO. Okay. Sticker RL. Washington, they're doing a kind of a pivot on the bank rules that could free up tens of billions of dollars. Jamie Dimon really headed this, and it's going to that's a positive aspect for the banks. I see a note here on JP Morgan's regarding NVDA's report. They feel it's positive for Dell and Supermicro and HP Enterprises, but their concerns for ANET, Arista Networks, and Cisco. DraftKings completed their acquisition of Jackpocket. Alibaba, ticker BABA, they're considering a $5 billion convertible bond sale. Those Chinese internet stocks are getting hit earlier this morning. Moderna and Pfizer are in talks with the U.S. on an HSN1 bird flu vaccine. Mondelez was fined 337 million euros by EU antitrust regulators for impeding cross-border trade in chocolate biscuits and coffee products between EU countries. That's all I'm really seeing this morning, Emily.
Okay, Bill, before we dive into trading on this Thursday, let's take a quick look at yesterday's pick of the day. We pointed out earlier in the show was LiveRamp Holdings. As you told us during your earnings rundown, they did report earnings yesterday after the bell. They reported a non-GAAP EPS of 25 cents. That was estimates that were falling anywhere from 19, 21 cents, but a beat either way. Revenue for the quarter came in at $171 versus analyst estimates of only $160.6 million. As you told us during your NewsWare alerts, they did offer guidance that really, was quite a bump and, well ahead of analyst estimates. And last night, I saw the stock trading up as much as 15% after earnings. You were playing this one ahead of earnings. You had a specific entry point. Bill, how did your call work out?
It worked out actually really well. I mean, the stock opened up at 32.75, which I thought was just too high, and I just sat back. Then it fell down to $32.05. Remember, my entry price, I was saying between 32, I was really where I liked it, to 32.40 is what I was willing to pay up for it. But you look at the stock after earnings, the stock's at 37.41. I mean, that's like a 14% increase from yesterday's high opening price of 32.75. So no matter what, you made money on this thing on the earnings. I mean, LiveRamp, ticker RAMP, was a big winner yesterday. And you look at you look at this 14, 15% move on the stock, and then you consider Nvidia. Nvidia is only up 7%. I mean, this one doubled that. So this was so much of a better pick on a percentage basis because the return was so much greater. So LiveRamp is the most up of the stocks that released earnings yesterday, and you got to be pleased with the way it worked out. RAMP, Richard Apple, Michael Paul, big winner yesterday, Emily.
Always pleased with 14 or 15% gain there, Bill, and we will check with you tomorrow about today's Booz Allen pick of the day. Bill, thank you as always for your expert insight. Join us back here tomorrow to end your trading week with NewsWare's Trade Talk, when we provide the facts, themes, and trading ideas for the day ahead. Again, I'm your host, Emily Bonney, here with trading anchor Bill Olson. Traders, you know what to do. Let's go out there and make some green.